The O'Reilly Factor is on tonight.
The FBI, they are reopening the case into her criminal and illegal conduct.
We've heard these rumors. We don't know what to believe. That's why it is incumbent upon the FBI to tell us what they're talking about.
A stunning turn of events. The FBI announces it is reopening the investigation into Hillary Clinton's private email server because of what may have been found on the cell phone of disgraced ex-Congressman Anthony Weiner. Bill O'Reilly will have the latest on this shocker.
The criminal investigation of Hillary Clinton, the former Secretary of State, is back on.
And as the polls show the race tightening, will this news give new life to the Trump campaign?
We are going to win back the White House.
Caution, you're about to enter the no spin zone. The Factor begins right now. Hi, I'm Eric Bowling in for Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us. Bill will join us in just a moment and throughout the hour with tonight's breaking news story, stunning new developments in the Hillary Clinton email scandal as the FBI announced it's reviewing newly discovered emails that could have a direct bearing on that case. The FBI's action resulting from a separate investigation into disgraced former Congressman Anthony Weiner, the husband of top Clinton aide Huma Abedin. Weiner is under federal investigation for allegedly sexting an underage girl in North Carolina. As part of the inquiry, the Bureau seized devices from both Weiner and Huma Abedin, where it discovered numerous emails sent and received by Abedin, apparently relevant to the Clinton email investigation. The FBI is not releasing many details yet, and it is unclear if any of those emails were between Abedin and Mrs. Clinton or if any of them contained classified information. But Donald Trump and his supporters certainly praise that decision.
As you might have heard earlier today, the FBI after discovering new emails, is reopening their investigation into Hillary Clinton. I have great respect for the FBI for righting this wrong. The American people fully understand her corruption, and we hope all justice will finally be served.
And just a short time ago in Iowa, Hillary Clinton addressed the news for the first time.
The director himself has said he doesn't know whether the emails referenced in his letter are significant or not. I'm confident, whatever they are, will not change the conclusion reached in July. Therefore, it's imperative that the Bureau explain this issue in question, whatever it is, without any delay.
Now, you may remember that on July 5th, the FBI Director James Comey recommended no criminal charges be brought against Mrs. Clinton, despite saying she was, quote, extremely careless in her handling of classified information. Then, over the Labor Day holiday, he released documents that led Bill O'Reilly to question Comey's entire handling of the case. Take a look.
I have revised my opinion on Director James Comey because he released some very important information about Hillary Clinton last Friday afternoon before Labor Day when few would see it. That was a political move, and even though I gave Mr. Comey the benefit of the doubt in the email investigation itself, I can no longer do so. He's lost all credibility. I mean, when he loses me, and you lost me, Mr. Comey, I'm gone, all right? I don't believe you should be running that agency any longer. I don't believe that this is an honest investigation. I believe that this is political. I believe they never wanted to find out what happened. It's obvious the FBI booted the investigation, I believe intentionally now. The campaign itself, the Hillary Clinton machine itself, is admitting this is bad and they've got to do something. And Comey doesn't think it has anything to do with the investigation. It has. Everyone knows Hillary Clinton did not tell the truth about her email. With the exception of one person, James Comey.
Joining us now on the phone is Bill O'Reilly. So, Bill, we just heard your analysis of FBI Director James Comey. How did you know Comey booted the investigation?
Well, it was quite apparent that you have a series of events, and it is circumstantial evidence, but so much circumstantial evidence, that Comey did not want to make this indictment. But the big smoking gun is that Comey did not call for a grand jury. I have spoken to dozens of FBI agents, both retired and in the service now. To a man, they say that is extremely unusual in a complicated case like this. So now what you have is you have a political portion of this today, and then you have a legal portion. Let's take the politics first, Eric. If you look at the new Fox News poll, the enthusiasm deficit between Trump and Clinton is about 8%, 7%. That means that 7% of Trump supporters are more enthusiastic to vote than Hillary Clinton. Keep that in mind. Anything like this erodes enthusiasm for Hillary Clinton. All right, now our hardcore people are going to vote for her, but we're talking independents and we're talking Democrats who don't particularly like or trust her. So that enthusiasm level drops, and what happens then? Lower turnout. All right, so that's what happened today politically. So Trump seizes upon this, and if he doesn't blow it in the next 10 days, which he could, his message should be, she's corrupt, and if you elect her, there's a chance she may be indicted while she's the president. Because the situation is fluid. It's fluid. Comey made a huge mistake by not calling the grand jury, because the grand jury of folks, regular Americans, would have then heard the evidence that Comey himself decided wasn't enough to indict because she didn't mean it. Now, let's get on to what was found today. Uma Abedin is one of Hillary's best friends. So you've got to know that they were emailing all the time. She had 3 servers and she had 1 server and Weiner had 3. You got to figure that Abedin passed some of Hillary's stuff on to her husband, Weiner. All right? That's why Weiner is involved. So the FBI goes in to investigate Weiner on this 15-year-old girl thing, and they see stuff from Uma Abedin coming to Weiner about Hillary Clinton. You have to assume this. This is an assumption I'm making. And then they go back and they look at Abedin's phone, and they see unbelievable amounts of emails from Clinton to Uma. Now, if you're the FBI and this is all benign, has nothing to do with national security or top secret, you don't do anything. If it's just, what are you doing tonight, what kind of dress you're going to wear, or look at this, Anthony, Hillary Clinton has a good idea to do X, Y, and Z, that's not going to rise. So you know there's something in there. Has to be. Yep. Because Comey would never put his butt on the line. Now, here's the kicker. I talked to a very, very influential FBI guy the other day. He said there's almost a mutiny within the FBI over James Comey's behavior in this investigation. He says that so many agents are angry that Comey knows he's lost all credibility within the agency, and that if he didn't put this out, that they were going to go public with it, and that Comey's career would have been done. He had to put it out. That's not saying that she's going to be charged. I'm not saying any of that. What I am saying is that the FBI rank and file do not like the way James Comey conducted this investigation, do not feel it rose to the FBI standards, and this new stuff is enough to reopen the investigation, which is devastating for the Clinton campaign.
Devastating. First, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd like you to weigh in politically. Forget legally for a second, but politically, scale of 1 to 10, you got to push it up towards the 8, 9, 10 area, especially with just 11 days left to go before the election.
It's hard to say because the candidates are so polarizing. But I do, as I said in the beginning, I think it's going to suppress turnout for Hillary Clinton. People are just going, I've had enough. I don't want to vote for Trump, but I'm not going to go vote for her. And she needs a big turnout in states like Pennsylvania and New Hampshire. The other thing is that, politically speaking, Trump now can run with this for 10 days and raise the specter of absolute chaos if Hillary Clinton's elected and the FBI then finally does convene a grand jury, because it's reopened now. They can do that now, and the pressure is going to build on them. And the final thing is the far left is going crazy. They're going nuts. They're accusing Comey of all kinds of things. Comey was their best friend up until 3 hours ago. Now he's the devil.
Yeah.
And so you're seeing this unbelievably visceral reaction. I must say that Hillary Clinton was smart today in what she did. That was a smart play. Hey, get it out there, because she knows the FBI is not going to get it out there.
This is a very interesting point you make, that she did go to the podium. She said, first of all, she said that the emails, they're factored in already. A lot of people on the right would disagree with that. But it's very interesting that both Hillary Clinton and Podesta today have said, get these emails out. We'll let the American public know. But so is Pence.
That's a smart play.
But so is
Pence. Because they know
Pence.
they're not going to get them out.
But one of them's going to lose in that.
Right.
One of them's going to be a loser in that. If they bring it out now, someone's going to lose. Who loses?
Well, they can. They can. If you're an FBI, if you're an investigative agency, you have to compare those emails to other things that she said, Hillary Clinton has said. You've got to do a whole bunch of things before you arrive at any conclusion. You can't just throw them out there. That's trial by media. But Hillary Clinton now, what can they do? They're going to have to say, look, we didn't do anything and we want this all out, hoping that they can go up to Election Day and people will buy that. And I'm not saying whether it's true or not. I'm not. I'm just saying that right now Trump has the advantage. If the Trump campaign then zeroes in on corruption in the next 10 days.
You know, very interesting you say that, because we have Kellyanne, Conway, senior advisor to the Trump campaign, coming up. Bill, I want to say thank you very much. We're going to check back in with you in a little bit later in the program to get your assessment of how this story will develop over the weekend, looking forward. And we're also waiting Donald Trump at his rally in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. We'll take you there as soon as he begins. But next on the rundown, as I said, Trump campaign manager Kellyanne Conway joins us with reaction to today's extraordinary developments moments away. In the Impact segment tonight, the Trump campaign's reaction to today's news that the FBI is looking at newly found emails that might impact the Hillary Clinton email case. A Donald Trump rally is set to begin momentarily in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. We'll go straight to it when Trump takes the stage. But in the meantime, joining us now from Trump campaign headquarters in New York City, his campaign manager, Kellyanne Conway. Kellyanne, Hillary Clinton, about an hour ago, said this is factored in. This email, this new reinvestigating Hillary Clinton, is it factored in for the voters?
No, it's not weak spin on her part. And the reason it's not factored in is it's a separate investigation. And it also presumes that people in her orbit did not turn over every device they were asked to turn over. So maybe there are one or two still out there. It's reported today that it'd be a device with Huma Abedin, one she shared with her husband, Anthony Weiner, who's under investigation for sexting, as you know. And it also, the idea that somebody who is seen by 2/3 of America as not honest and not trustworthy would say, oh, voters have already factored this in, I'm good, really shows how out of touch she is with her major problems in winning this race. If you have people who are already questioning your veracity, questioning your fitness to lead, if you're under your second FBI investigation in the same year, then you do have a problem, a corruption and ethics problem. And that's really been dogging her all along. We know that. When you look at who the undecided voters are in the Fox News poll from last week, Eric, they would be Trump voters. They're 13% independent, 10% white men and white women without a college degree, 9% rural voters, and 7% of undecided overall. They will come home to Donald Trump when they hear things like this, because they'll say, you know what, I'm already reluctant and hesitant to vote for Hillary Clinton, and this confirms my worst suspicions. Plus, Donald Trump's out there talking about defeating ISIS, creating jobs, renegotiating really bad trade deals, and repealing and replacing Obamacare.
This is what I want to ask you. So you've had a couple of major gifts thrown into your lap this week. You have the White House acknowledging the fact that Obamacare premiums are skyrocketing, and then you have this. How does Donald Trump stay focused on message and not chase a rabbit down the rabbit hole?
Well, he is. He's about to give his third of 3 speeches today where he talks about repealing and replacing Obamacare. He talks about specifically about the hike in premiums, somewhere like in Arizona, maybe even more than 100% increase hike. Other states like Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, North Carolina, they're coming out with what their hikes will be. And Obamacare is still the best example we have of how intrusive, invasive, expensive, and expansive the federal government becomes in our lives. And he's out there talking about that. He's out there talking about creating 25 million jobs over 10 years, unleashing energy independence, reducing taxes across the board, including for middle-class families, elder care, child care tax credits. I mean, this guy has many different policy plans if people actually want to go and read them. And you've got Hillary Clinton playing defense with 11 days to go. A woman who reportedly did focus groups and polling 2 years before the election is not going to be able to figure out a plan B here, I promise you.
And you're a pollster, too, by trade. Is this enough to change the momentum to tighten the polls or even flip them?
Well, the momentum has been changing. Our internal polls this week showed great improvement, particularly among self-identified Republicans, soft Republicans, independents, and a couple of other groups who were in the more undecided category, say 2.5 weeks ago. The other thing you're seeing is in national polls like the ABC News Washington Post poll, Donald Trump was -12 on Sunday. Today he's -4. I think that poll will continue to go in his direction. We like the momentum, the trend lines, and we like the fact, Eric, that despite everybody saying the race is over, she won, he still gets these historically large crowds, and he still is able to take his message to the voters. He wrote a $10 million check to himself today. The polls are tightening, and Hillary Clinton's on defense. It's a good day.
Kellyanne, I got to leave it right there. Thank you very much. And joining us now from Phoenix, Democratic Congressman Ruben Gallego, a Clinton campaign senator. Congressman, heavy lifting this week, especially today. This is a big bombshell story.
Well, we're excited here in Arizona. We will be seeing Secretary Clinton this coming Wednesday. We're a swing state this year because of the historic, horrible candidacy of Donald Trump and the good candidacy of Secretary Clinton. So we feel good here in Arizona. Okay, so
Hillary Clinton came to the microphone about an hour ago and said this new email investigation is factored in. You buying that?
We certainly think so. Here in Arizona, we've been hitting the doors, talking to thousands and thousands of citizens, and what we are hearing is they're focused on the issues, and the issues that matter to them are not email issues. They're the everyday bread and butter. Who's going to get me a job? Who's going to help my kids go to college? And for that reason, right now, Secretary Clinton is winning in Arizona, a traditional red state.
Yeah, but don't you think it actually, this new investigation, don't you think that goes to her character, her decision-making? I mean, she's kept Uma Abedin very close, knowing for the better part of the last 3 years, Anthony Weiner, Carlos Danger, has been, playing around with emails, getting in trouble.
I think it's just unfair for this to be characterized as it is right now. This email was not on her server. The director has been a little vague about that. He should come out and actually clarify this even more. But this whole issue has been exploited by the Republican Party as well as the Trump campaign.
What are you suggesting with FBI Director Comey? What do you think his motives are?
Oh, I don't think he has any nefarious motives, but I do think that it is incumbent upon him, since people are very confused, to come out and explain exactly what he means. The letter was too vague, and that's why it's been exploited by the Trump campaign and by a couple of the Republican members of Congress that got this.
He put this to sleep. He recommended no indictment, no further investigation by the DOJ months ago, and now for him to take the very, very massive step of saying, let's start re-examining some of these. We found new information. There's got to be some there, doesn't there?
Well, it's incumbent upon him not to just stay silent and actually explain himself. And this is why the Hillary campaign has been very clear that they want him to explain more and fully release all the information as fast as possible.
But he said new evidence.
They have nothing to hide.
They have nothing to hide. New evidence pertaining to Hillary Clinton's email. We already knew they had an investigation into Anthony Weiner and his sexting with an alleged underage woman.
It's incumbent upon him to actually explain more fully what's going on.
Are you sure you want that?
And the Secretary Clinton has been very clear.
He may be doing you a favor by waiting until there's only 11 days left.
Secretary Clinton has been very clear that she has nothing to lose here. She has nothing to hide. And we know when this is fully put out into light that it would be, again, another twist down the rabbit hole that Trump, the Republicans, are going on, because they historically have the worst candidate in history of presidential candidates right now running and losing, mind you.
Well, that may be the case, at least as far as the Real Clear Politics average is, but they had been tightening, and then 2 days ago you have this new Obamacare, massive increase in Obamacare rates across the country, and now you have this momentum maybe turning in the other direction at really the worst time, no?
No, I sincerely doubt that. When Donald Trump has to come to Arizona with about 9 days left to the election, a state that has voted traditionally Republican for the last 20 years, he's in trouble. His pathway to victory is slim to non-existent, and we know that as the Democratic Party and with Secretary Clinton that we're surging. So, he's going to latch on to this last bit of just lies and slander, but it's not going to do him any good. He is the worst candidate, and he's a very dangerous candidate.
Well,
and
you were dodging the questions very nicely. This is no spin zone.
Good to see you, Eric.
Thank you again for having me. Congressman, thank you very much. Up next, if today's email investigation news wasn't bad enough for Hillary Clinton, new problems around the Clinton Foundation may be creating the perfect storm of trouble for her campaign. Right back with that. In the Factor follow-up segment tonight, on top of the FBI returning to an inquiry of the Hillary Clinton email scandal, Mrs. Clinton is also being haunted by troubling questions about how the Clinton Foundation is being run. For those of you who missed it yesterday, O'Reilly delivered an especially powerful talking points memo on the subject.
Hackers have released new information taken from emails stolen from John Podesta, Hillary Clinton's campaign chairman, that show the Clinton Foundation is run more like a business than a charity. This man, Douglas Bann, was a top fundraiser for the foundation, but at the same time, he was running a company called Teneo and booking speeches for Bill Clinton. So Mr. Bann was a very busy guy. Not only did he bring in millions of dollars to the foundation, he set up millions of dollars in speaking fees for Bill Clinton and a hefty income for himself, consulting with some folks who donated money to the foundation. It's a tangled web, but you get the picture. Money went to charity, money went to Bill Clinton, money went to Doug Bann. In addition, Factor has studied the 2014 tax return from the Clinton Foundation, the latest available. According to this document filed with the IRS, millions were spent on non-charitable expenses. In 2014, the Clinton Foundation received $338 million in revenue. Wow. 64% of that money went for charitable purposes. The rest was either saved, spent on administrative expenses, or invested. Including in the expenses are lavish salaries for Clinton pals. Then CEO Eric Braverman received $532,000 in total compensation. Not bad. Bruce Lindsay, almost $400,000. Mark Gunton, $314,000. Maura Paley, $284,000, and Dennis Chang, almost $270,000 in total compensation. In addition, Bill, Hillary, and Chelsea Clinton used private jets to fly around on foundation business. That's legal, but rare. Charities usually use scheduled airlines to save money. To be fair, Mr. and Mrs. Clinton are very high-profile people. Secret Service agents are needed, but there's no question the private air travel afforded them an opportunity to do whatever they wanted to do and go wherever they wanted to go. That is a huge advantage for a politician planning to run for president, is it not? Talking Points believes the Clinton Foundation is a joint venture, business, political, and charitable. The Clintons figured out how to accomplish all three things under the foundation banner. It is left to you, the voter, to decide whether that is ethical. One footnote, I run my own charitable foundation named after my parents. I take nothing. No salary, no travel, no expenses. Bill, Hillary, and Chelsea Clinton do not take salaries, but they certainly have benefited from the money the foundation has received and the transactions that go back and forth. And that's the memo.
Wow. Now, in addition to the new chapter in the email investigation and the questions about how the Clinton Foundation is operating, the conservative advocacy group Judicial Watch is filing a lawsuit asking the FBI to release records about a meeting between Bill Clinton and Attorney General Loretta Lynch on an airport tarmac over the summer. Joining us now from Washington to weigh in on this cauldron of controversies, Tom Fitton, the president of that group, Judicial Watch. Tom, so the big question, you want to know what took place between Bill Clinton and AG Loretta Lynch in Arizona on the tarmac, on the airplane. How are you going to get that information?
Well, assuming it wasn't recorded, presumably they went into crisis mode once it became exposed and discussed what went on and how they were going to handle it. And I think that would be illuminating and educational for the American people to know about that meeting that the Attorney General admitted cast a cloud over the criminal investigation of Hillary Clinton, a cloud that I don't think has been lifted, and it certainly isn't helped when they're in cover-up mode over it, and we had to go to federal court to get this basic information. They completely ignored our request.
Mm-hmm. And I think at one point Bill Clinton said they talked about golf.
Well, you know, I think it would be interesting to see what government documents have that record what was talked about. Did Attorney General Lynch report what was talked about to her colleagues so they could handle the press and media and congressional inquiries? That's what we want to know. Why are they withholding it from us? There's not a lot of documents, I can imagine. It's a cover-up, and that's why we're in federal court. We're going to ask a federal court to require them to turn this over. All
right, let's talk a little bit about Bill O'Reilly was talking about, Doug Band, the Clinton Foundation, and there was a group called Teneo. It was basically a PR/lobbyist group, but acted as a broker between Bill Clinton and some high-profile, some big-time CEOs and some big corporations. I'm thinking Dow Chemical. $19 million went into the coffers and ended up in Clinton's ledger. And also this group, the Laureate University, a college that paid him somewhere around $17 million to be an honorary chancellor. Your thoughts?
Well, we asked for the document on what Bill Clinton was getting for all that money from that university, that private university. The State Department blacked out what Clinton was getting paid to do. I think I would expand Bill's definition of the racket that was going on to include the State Department, because the foundation donors, folks working with this Doug Band and Bill Clinton, were getting favors from the State Department. So that was part of the system of taking care of these people who are not only going...
Wait, let's talk about that.
Well, the head of Dow Chemical, for instance, was involved in shepherding Clinton over to North Korea on behalf of the United States government to help someone get out of North Korea, supposedly. You've got other companies who were giving money to the foundation, including a corrupt Nigerian billionaire, trying to get special favors from the State Department and getting special consideration via Band and Yuma Abedin. And by the way, Clinton getting this money, Bill, either speaking fees or business deals as a result of the foundation, raises some ethical questions and legal questions about how the foundation was being misused for personal benefit.
Pay to play.
But Hillary was benefiting indirectly as well. They're married. The money's going to her coffers as well.
Pay to play. I mean, is this the technical definition of an illegal pay to play scheme?
Well, you know, there's the pay to play with the State Department, but when you start using a foundation's donors and a charity as a way to line your own pockets and to use that to promote and gain benefits for you personally and to your business, that's not allowed under the rules.
Okay, and that's an important distinction. A lot of people would say, hey, you know, he was selling his brand, he was selling his speeches and whatnot. But when you bring the State Department in, when you bring the taxpayer-funded State Department in, it changes the rules a little bit. Tom Fitton, sure. I'm going to have to leave it right there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
A quick footnote, there's a new Contributing Factor podcast up on BillO'Reilly.com and iTunes featuring an interview with James O'Keefe about how he made his undercover videos that showed Democratic Party operatives discussing how to promote violence at Trump rallies and voter fraud. You want to check that out. Also, Donald Trump expected to take the stage in Cedar Rapids, Iowa momentarily. We'll take you there live when it happens. But coming up, how big an impact will today's news on the Clinton email investigation have with voters? We'll take a hard look at that right after this. In the Unresolved Problem segment tonight, the political fallout from the Clinton email investigation. How much sway will this have on voters with just 11 days until the election? Joining us now with reaction from my hometown, Chicago, Tom Bevan, executive editor of Real Clear Politics, and with us in New York in studio, Jessica Tarlov, a Democratic pollster and strategist. Tom, hometown Chicago. The momentum started to change in your average. It got as high as 6 or 6.5 or so a few days ago, and it tightened to 5. Will this help it tighten even further, and how much further?
Well, it's hard to say how much further. I mean, I think it will tighten. The one sort of defining feature of this election is whoever's been under the spotlight has suffered, because it reminds the public about all the worst things that the candidates, all the worst perceptions that the public has about that candidate. Donald Trump was under the spotlight pretty intensely for the last couple of weeks. Now it's shifted. Hillary Clinton is under the spotlight here with just 11 days left. And so given what we know about this race, that's not good news for her. And I think we probably will see the polls tighten, but hard to say how much at this point.
All right, Jess, October surprise. We had a
oh my God.
And there's still 3 days left.
I wasn't ready for this at all. It was not a great day. Yeah, I agree with what Tom just said. We can't know how much. I think they will continue to tighten. We know that at this point in the 2012 election, Obama was just up 1 point on Romney and then came back to win by 4. I always thought it was going to be close, kind of that she was going to win by 2 to 4 points, and it looks like that's still possible. But there's no doubt that this wasn't good, and also something they were completely unprepared for. And I think you're really seeing that. I think John Podesta put out a good statement. I think Hillary did the best that she could, saying, you know, I want to know what this is about. You know, James Comey, if you're going to say it, tell us what it is. But Donald Trump, he's been on message for the past few days, and keep hammering this and Obamacare and the economy, and you got yourself a ball game.
Tom, talk to us a little bit about these undecideds. I mean, clearly she hasn't hit a 50% mark on any poll, maybe one poll or so. She keeps polling around 45%. He's around 40 or so. That tells you there's a lot of people who are still undecided. Maybe this is the kind of information they need to make a decision.
Sure. I mean, there are some undecideds, and this will certainly affect their decision. Independents, another group that had been with Trump, had swung back to Hillary. But also Hillary voters, the folks that are kind of iffy on her, that had moved in her direction recently over the last couple of weeks, the folks who aren't thrilled with her, millennial voters, for example, but who are sort of fleeing Trump. This reminds them why they don't like Hillary. And so if it softens up her Democratic support, that's going to be a problem for her, especially in some of these swing states.
Yeah, Jess, at the podium, she said that this email scandal is, quote, factored in. I have to push back on that. I think this is big news. Also, when asked, she was leaving the press conference, a reporter asked her about the scandal, and she kind of defiantly laughed it off, allegedly. This is what we're hearing.
Yeah, she didn't answer whether she talked to whom.
Is this the right way to be handling this?
I really do think she needs to be ready to talk about it. I don't think that there should be little snippets, and I think we do need more information. But I do agree with what Tom just said about the independents, and also with millennial voters who were interested in Gary Johnson because they wanted a third option, and they had moved towards her. It is possible that they could move back. But I want to say also about the polls tightening, what happened there is there were Republicans and Republican-leaning independents who became disenchanted with Trump when all the sex assault talk happened. So they moved away from him, and now they're moving back. So this is the race kind of going back to where it was before that tape dropped.
Tom, I got to go. Just very quickly, have you seen a poll tighten 5 points on the average with 11 days left before?
Well, we just saw this Washington Post poll that came out, the tracking poll. It was 12 points a few days ago. Now it's 4. So yeah, this race is still fluid.
Okay. Leave it right there, Tom. Jessica, thank you very much. When we come right back, inside the Clinton campaign as they react to today's bombshell news. Stay with us.
Favorite shows on Channel 114, plus every story, every 15 minutes. Fox News headlines 24/7, Channel 115. The O'Reilly Factor, the #1 cable news show for 16 years and counting.
Thanks for staying with us. I'm Eric Bolling in for Bill O'Reilly. And in the Campaign 2016 segment tonight, how the Clinton campaign is responding to today's FBI bombshell, an October surprise few saw coming. Joining us now from Washington, Fox News Chief National Correspondent Ed Henry, and from Des Moines, Iowa, Fox News Correspondent Jennifer Griffin, who's covering the Clinton campaign. Jennifer, I want to start with you because right after Hillary Clinton left that press conference where she said this is factored in, the emails are factored in, she was apparently stepping off stage, reporters heard her defiantly laugh when asked about this email scandal.
Well, it's really interesting, Eric. At first, we weren't sure whether she was going to address the scandal at all. She had been at 2 campaign stops. She didn't address it in her prepared remarks. Then she held an impromptu press conference, took about 3 questions from the traveling press. And as she was leaving, the NBC reporter shouted a question to her and said, "Do you think this will sink your election?" And she threw her head back and she laughed defiantly. She did not answer the reporter. But earlier in the press conference, what she said is that the FBI had not contacted contacted her. She did not know what they were referring to. They don't know. She would not confirm whether it was, in fact, as we've been reporting all day, based on a law enforcement source, that it was 4 devices that were taken by the FBI as part of that investigation into Anthony Weiner's alleged sexting with an underage girl. One of those devices, I was told, belonged to Huma Abedin. There are some reports that one of the devices was also a shared computer used by Anthony Weiner and now his estranged wife, Huma. Huma was traveling with Secretary Clinton today, but we did not see her in the rally behind me here at the gymnasium. Again, she took just a few questions, and she was defiant in her tone. She called on the director of the FBI to release what he knows, because she felt with 11 days left, the voters need to know what he has.
Yeah, and Ed, the political fallout is what? I mean, it feels big. I mean, all the networks are covering this wall to wall because this is a big story.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell, but one clue, I think, that they're nervous in the Clinton camp is everything Jennifer just reported. She actually took questions. She hates dealing with the press. She hates taking questions. Yes, she's done it a little bit more lately, but she's winning right now in most polls. It's not done, but she's winning. So she could have tried to run out the string for the next 11 days. But they know, as you say, Eric, this is a big deal. So they're trying to, sort of blunt the damage from James Comey by getting her out there and pushing back. But some of what she said in the news conference, we should pick apart. It rings hollow. She challenged the FBI to put it all out there. We want the facts. We want more information. If Hillary Clinton wanted information out there, why is it taking so long for her to explain the server? Why was the server kept secret literally for years, Eric? That's hard to square.
Yeah, and Jennifer, I cannot imagine. Now, you reported that she was on the airplane, Hillary Clinton was on the airplane, but the internet was down. She didn't know this bombshell was coming until she hit the tarmac, and reporters said, hey, what's going on?
Well, exactly, and the reporters traveling with her didn't know either, because the Wi-Fi was down for all of them. And so when she came out of the plane, and the pool reporter, Tamara Gitt, our embedded reporter, shouted a question saying, what had she been contacted by the FBI? She just smiled and waved, and at first it looked like she was just trying to ignore the press, but it really does seem like they were caught unawares. She also made a political point that she said that the letter was addressed just to the Republican heads of committees on Capitol Hill, the Intel Committee and others, but we know that, of course, it went to both sides, also House and Senate.
Jen and Ed, I got to leave it right there and say thank you very much.
Thank you.
And no Friday night of mine would be complete without Geraldo Rivera, who joins us live from Arizona right now. Geraldo, what do you make of everything that's happening today with the FBI re-examining the
odd couple of me and you?
And, specifically, I want to get your response to the Anthony Weiner connection specifically.
Oh, Anthony Weiner disgusts me. Actually, disgust is how I've responded to this whole renewed, bombshell here. Until about noon today, James Comey, the FBI director, was the devil of the right and the hero of the left. He made his announcement that the case was reopened. Suddenly, that's flipped. So everybody that was saying James Comey is in the tank for Hillary Clinton is now suggesting that James Comey is trying to influence this election. It was a bombshell, mainly because the FBI has a tradition of not interfering with the electoral process. Here we're 11 days from the most significant election in our lifetime, maybe, and the FBI is intruding in this way that I think is very, very profound. I think that there must be some there. I can't imagine that Comey would do something so unprecedented, so extraordinary, if at least a preliminary assessment of these emails
but what do you think
show something that was significant.
I mean, do you think it's that there's some classified material, or does it get bigger? Because, as you know, to start re-examining a case that they kind of put on ice for a while would take something fairly explosive.
Well, I have no idea, but I mean the whole notion that Huma Abedin would allow this sleazy pervert husband of hers access to her computer and presumably access to communications Huma had, confidential communications with the Secretary of State, is mind-boggling to me. But I have to say this about James Comey: this is the biggest cover your ass I have ever seen in modern politics or law enforcement. He was battered by the criticism from O'Reilly and others, And now he is responding. He saw this maybe late yesterday, early today, and said, oh, my God, I'm not going to sit on this for 11 days. I'm going to release it the day after the election. People are going to lynch me.
You don't even give him the credit that he found some information and decided to be transparent and bring it to the market or bring it to the news when he found it. You're saying there's some sort of political motivation in this?
We're a nation of tradition. And the fact that the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation would release something like this 11 days before the election
is mind-boggling. You should have waited? You're not suggesting he should have waited 11 days.
Now Hillary and Podesta on that side, the Republicans in Congress, Trump and Pence on the other side, are saying, okay, what do you got? Let's release it. What's Comey going to do now? Now you're 11 days out. So tomorrow is Saturday, Sunday. So now on Monday you're going to do it 7 days, 8 days before the election.
Why would he respond to Podesta's demand to release stuff? It's evidence. You're a litigator. You investigate. You compile the evidence.
Let me answer. I don't believe it is possible for Comey to release the information that right and left are now calling for. Why? Are you going to release this now 8 days, 7 days, 6 days, 5 days, 4 days before an election? Are you really is the director of the FBI really going to determine who the 45th president of the United States is? That's why I am baffled by this. I am disgusted by this. And it brings me to the point where I feel like abstaining from this election.
All right. Going to have to leave it right there. Geraldo, have a great time in Arizona. Up next, Bill O'Reilly will rejoin us to tell us what to watch for this coming weekend. Don't go away. In the Back of the Book segment tonight, Bill O'Reilly joins us now on the phone to tell us what to expect this coming weekend. Bill, every day something new. What do you think is going to happen this weekend?
Well, I want to tell everybody I had to have a medical procedure today, which is why I'm not there, but I'll be back on Monday. I was surprised with Geraldo because it comes down to this. The American people want to know what happened or not. Do they want justice or not? I'm not convicting Secretary Clinton of anything. I don't believe that the FBI did a honest investigation into her email situation. And again, I'll reiterate what I said at the top, that they should have called for a grand jury and presented evidence to other people. That's the way our system works, not just have James Comey make this unilateral situation. And then with the appearances of impropriety that we know about Loretta Lynch and Bill Clinton, now we know that Justice Department officials were having dinner with John Podesta. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that never should have happened, yet guys like Geraldo are saying, well, this is terrible, 11 days out. Hey, I want to know the truth, So this weekend is a very important weekend for Donald Trump because Trump now has to pivot away from personal grievance, and just hammer home that he believes that his opposition is corrupt and that if elected, this corruption will continue, and it could. If the FBI uncovers more things and she's elected, then it's Tim Kaine, eventually. Yeah. So there's a lot for the American voter to consider here. But I caution everybody by convicting in the media, don't do that. But there's going to be a lot of new stuff coming out, that's for sure.
Yeah, you have a very large number of undecideds. As we point out, Hillary Clinton is failing to hit 50%. So Trump has an opportunity right now. He's got to mix a cocktail of what he's going to talk about over the next few days, being emails, Clinton Foundation, and Obamacare prices. How do you do it? How do you mix that cocktail? What parts of
Well, if I were Trump, I would do some national media and, get as much exposure nationally as possible. He's not going to be able to campaign in the last 11 days all over the country. He's got 4 or 5 states he's got to go to. But he can make his case in the media. I mean, he's always happy to have him. And then he's got to brush off the questions about his personal resume. He's got to say, listen, there's something more important here. And it's not so much the undecideds, it's the independents. That's what you saw in all the polling this week. The independents started to shift over to Trump for one reason or another. And now with this tremendous FBI exposition tonight, you're going to have people going, hey, maybe I don't want to do this. Maybe this is too risky for the country. It's all speculation, but there's a lot of stuff going to be happening in the next 3 or 4 days. And then you'll have the new polling starting to come out Monday and Tuesday, which we'll see if the FBI thing registers among the folks.
Mm-hmm. Very quickly, you see this stepped up momentum, you see this step up enthusiasm in his rallies now.
Yeah, but I'm not. Look, Trump's supporters are very rabid. It really doesn't mean much. And, I want everybody to go to BillO'Reilly.com over the weekend. We'll be updating everybody on the message boards and all of that. And I appreciate you being in for me, Eric.
And thank you for calling in, Bill. We really appreciate that. That's it for us tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Eric Bolling in for Bill O'Reilly, who will be back on Monday. And please remember, the spin stops right here because we're looking out for you.